Picture the best-selling watch in history. You are picturing a Rolex, something heavy and expensive on a magazine cover. You are wrong, and you will stay wrong for the next 66 years. In 1960, the watch on the most wrists on Earth costs about a day's pay, and it is proud of it. The mechanical age is won by the cheap. In America, one company owns it. Timex, so relentlessly ordinary that by 1962, one of every 3 watches sold in the country is a Timex, a few dollars each. It takes a licking and keeps on ticking, and nobody frames one. In Japan, Seiko answers in 1963 with the Seiko 5, automatic, sealed, nearly unkillable, priced for a factory worker. And in India, HMT stamps out watches for a nation buying its very first. There is a giant here the West likes to forget. Behind the Iron Curtain, the Soviet state runs watch factories the size of towns. Poljot in Moscow. Raketa, built inside a palace outside Leningrad. Slava. Vostok, stamping out the diver's watch issued to the Red Army. These are not so much sold as distributed by the tens of millions, across a third of the planet. For a while, the most produced watches on Earth are communist. Christmas morning, 1969. Seiko puts a watch in a Tokyo window called the Astron. It keeps time with a quartz crystal, accurate to seconds a year, 100 times better than the finest Swiss movement. And it costs as much as a car. The Swiss look at it and call it a toy. It is the single most expensive mistake in the history of manufacturing. Because a calculator company from Osaka is watching. Casio does not care about heritage, or jewels, or 500 years of tradition. Casio cares about volume, and it builds watches the way it builds calculators, by the container load for a few dollars each. By 1978, 2 out of every 3 Swiss watchmakers are simply gone. Factories that had run since before the American Civil War go dark inside a decade. Switzerland, the country that perfected the watch, is dying of accuracy. Then, a Lebanese-born engineer named Nicholas Hayek does something insane to save Swiss watchmaking. He makes it cheap and plastic. $12, snap it on, buy it in colors, collect them. He calls it the swatch. The snobs are horrified. It sells 12 million in 3 years and drags the entire Swiss industry back from the grave. The same year, in Tokyo, Casio throws a prototype off a bathroom window to see if it breaks. It doesn't. They call that one the G-Shock. America is not finished. The Timex Ironman, built for runners, becomes the best-selling watch in the United States. So ordinary that a president wears one to his own inauguration. But the Ironman has a problem it cannot see coming. It is a $15 slab of resin being quietly finished in a Japanese design room, a watch that will still be on shelves long after almost everything else on this chart is dead. That watch is the Casio F91W. It is not beautiful. It weighs less than a slice of bread, costs about $15, and it never changes. Not the design, not the price, not the weekly alarm that nobody in 35 years has learned how to switch off. And it just sells. Every year, millions, decade after decade, until by most counts it becomes the single best-selling watch ever made. So universal that intelligence agencies once treated owning one as suspicious, because everyone, everywhere, genuinely does. Nobody markets it. It refuses to die. The 90s belong to Japan and to light. Citizen builds the Eco Drive, a watch that runs on nothing but daylight, never needs a battery, and sells it past 100 million. But as one empire rises, another one dies. The Soviet Union is gone, and the great state factories go down with it. Polyot, Slava, the giants that once outproduced the entire West, collapse almost overnight. Their bars just fall off the chart. The most made watches of an entire era, retired by the death of a country. And the volume goes where the people are. In India, a Tata company called Titan launches a brand named Sonata, priced for 1 billion first-time buyers, and it becomes, quietly, the single largest selling watch brand in the country. Japan's Q&Q does the same across the developing world, a real watch for the price of a sandwich. The best-selling watches on Earth are now the ones almost nobody in the West has ever heard of. For a moment, the watch tries to become jewelry again. Fashion houses bolt their names onto cheap quartz movements, and a Michael Kors becomes a handbag for your wrist. A young Swede sells a thin, plain watch using nothing but Instagram, and for about 4 years, Daniel Wellington is on every feed on the internet. Both burn white hot. Both burn out. Fashion, it turns out, is a far worse business than boredom. Because look which watches are still standing, not the fashionable ones. The Seiko 5, unchanged in spirit since 1963. The G-Shock, the Eco Drive, the F91W. The boring, cheap, indestructible tools that were never trying to impress anyone. They have outlasted the Soviet Union, the quartz crisis, the fashion boom, and every single trend that was supposed to bury them. So, 66 years in, who actually sells the most? Never the famous ones. The Rolex Submariner, the most photographed watch on the planet, has been sitting on this chart the entire time, and it has never once cracked the top 10 by volume, because Rolex makes barely 1 million watches a year, and cheap Japan makes that before lunch. Fame and sales were never the same game. The real king was always the watch you forgot you were wearing. A $15 Casio, still for sale tonight, still keeping perfect time.